Welcome to Heartspoken Podcast. My name is Julian. On this podcast, on Heartspoken, we are going to talk about anything and everything. Nothing is off limits. I don't care how controversial it is. I don't care how soft the subject is. We're going to talk about it. We're going to make light of it. We're going to crack some jokes. We're going to have a good time. All right. If you don't have a good time, well, check out a different podcast. All right. First things first, though. Happy New Year. Hope you're enjoying your 2019 so far. If you're not, maybe 2020 will treat you better. Who knows? Who knows? It might. It just might. That being said, though, let's get a little intro music going. The new year, 2019. This one's gonna be an interesting one. I know. The start of every year, everyone is gonna have their New Year's resolutions, which is great. But I don't think I've ever met someone who has actually followed through with a New Year's resolution. I know a lot of people with New Year's resolutions. I don't think I've ever. I'm not one of them. I don't ever follow through with my resolutions. I do, however, just like every year, have a resolution that I do want to follow through with. Um, Pretty sure I'm not actually going to follow through with it though. It's just I'm really bad, man. I procrastinate way too much. Although my resolution, however, is to do 3 shows a week, not podcast shows. That's way too many for this. But more like I actually want to go out to comedy clubs and work more material out. Um, the issue with that is with working material out now, it's just fuck, man. It's a lot more stressful. Anything and everything you say is subject to offend somebody. You know, it's like you can't. It's one of those like you throw a stone into an empty room, yet somehow you hit somebody. That's what it's like being a comic now. You know, and the crazy part is that the people who get offended and make shit a big deal, they're all a part of a very small and very loud community. It's terrible because people are afraid to stand up against that small community because of how quote unquote evil, right, you must be if you dare to stand against them. Right? But at the end of the day, they're a bunch of hypocrites. They say they stand for every person's right to freedom of speech and freedom of expression. However, what they don't say is they're only for those things if and only if it lines up with how they think and how they view the world. They are also out for blood. And at first, I understood it. Like it, it feels like it started with the Me Too movement, which had a very noble cause. It was meant to expose those in a position of power who were abusing said power to make women and men do things for them, right? And it was anywhere from sexual misconduct all the way to rape, and a lot of people were taken down, and some of which I was a fan of, and some I didn't actually agree 100% on, but the cause was noble and it was riddled with hypocrisy. And it wasn't riddled with hypocrisy. That movement, I'm sure, is still going on, but it feels like it gave birth to this offended culture. These people from all communities are basically looking for anything to get offended by. Take a look at Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart has been having a lot of success with which he worked very hard for. He has a record-breaking stand-up special, right? His own production company, and he's been in many successful movies. He has been in the spotlight for some time, and recently, when the Academy announced that they would be wanting him as a host for I think it was like the Oscars, some people from this very small community went digging through his Twitter account and went all the way back to like 2008, 2010, 2012, and found old, right, air quotes, homophobic tweets saying that he'd hit his kid if he was playing with a dollhouse and say, "Stop it, that's gay." Now, I don't know if anyone remembers this, but that "Stop it, that's gay," that bit was in one of his specials. When you look at it with the context within the bit, you can tell that it's just a joke, right? But you need to have that context, right? I in no way can believe that he actually would do anything to harm his kid for playing with a dollhouse. It's just a joke, right? It's just a bit. Now, at the time, obviously, he was a younger comic who was testing out material and seeing how well it did. And comics do that a lot more often than you think. You know, I know, like me personally, I tend to try and just like slide bits into conversations to see if they are, one, maybe relatable, and two, how well they do. I mask them so they don't seem like bits, but that's just how I do it. That's, and every now and then I'll maybe throw a joke out on like Facebook or Twitter or something like that, just to kind of maybe get a feel for it, see where people's heads are when it comes to that bit. And other comics do that. That's sometimes you're just having a conversation and a bit is born. You know, so a comic taken to a social media platform to test out a bit isn't weird at all, right? It isn't like him going out there tweeting that with malicious intent. I'm pretty sure he was just kind of feeling the room out, seeing what happened. And these people they dug through years of tweets from Kevin Hart. Um, they are exactly what is wrong with that community, right? They are a bunch of social manipulators who don't want anybody to be successful. They like to find these people and destroy everything they've built. Kevin Hart took a very good stand after the Academy was too afraid to say, who cares to that small group. The Academy was kind of timid. They caved, just like everybody else caves, right? Because they don't want to take a stand against this small community. They told Kevin Hart he should apologize or he'll be let go. So Kevin Hart just dropped him. He was like, "Nah, fuck it. I don't need this, right? I don't need to backtrack," which is a very bold move, right? And good for him. That was that. I mean, it caught me by surprise. To be quite honest with you. And the Academy should have stood their ground. They should have defended him. They honestly should have. You know. So, anyways, he said he wasn't apologizing again for something that happened like a decade ago, and he shouldn't have to. So, yesterday, right? I believe it was yesterday. He went on the Ellen DeGeneres show, right? And he and Ellen talked about what happened and how they felt about it. Ellen sided with Kevin, and rightfully so. She also said she called the Academy and they want him back. They want him back. That is a win. The fact that they're putting their foot down and saying "fuck it, we'll take him back" is awesome. You know, Ellen backed Kevin, saying that the people who are trying to bring him down, the people that went looking for that shit, they're nothing but internet trolls, and I have to agree with her. I also say they're more than just internet trolls. They're attention seekers, right? They're people who try as hard as possible to take every situation and victimize themselves, right? And I know a lot of people like that, and believe me, they're all just about the same, right? People that they see something's going on and they need to make it about themselves, and something happens over here to this person, and they got to one up it. Oh, well, this happened to me, and this is how it made me feel. I feel bad for Ellen though, because it's not siding with the small majority, right? And like pretty much in her backing up Kevin Hart and not siding with that small majority of fuckheads, right? She had just made herself a target for this offended culture crew, right? That's what I'm dubbing these people. They're the offended culture crew, right? And as a matter of fact, several articles have already been published about this, mainly by the Hollywood Reporter, right? One of those reporters tries to turn this whole thing around to victimize himself. This guy's name is Chris Rell, and I read his article. Let me tell you right now. Kevin Hart making a joke about his son, right, doing a quote-unquote gay thing has nothing to do with the fact that some guy shoved you against the wall in college and you not having the balls to stand up for yourself. All right? Stop taking the fact that you don't have a pair of balls to defend yourself as an excuse to try and crucify every comic that makes a gay joke. Right? He also, actually, in the article, he also goes after Ellen for backing Hart. Right? And says she doesn't speak for the LGBTQ community. And that's very true. That is very, very true. Ellen does not speak for the entire community. But guess what, dipshit? Neither do you. There was another article published again by the Hollywood Reporter from a Ira Madison. Now, she said that Ellen didn't have the right to absolve Kevin Hart because this isn't an you know, LGBTQ issue. It's a black LGBTQ issue. You stupid, stupid child. She says Ellen was well within her lane to scold Caitlyn Jenner when it came to same sex marriage, but she should stay in her lane when it comes to gay people of color. What in the actual fuck is wrong with people? She also said that we need to basically stop defending comedians for making jokes that offend people because we are in a more PC present. Shut the fuck up. No one cares that you're a sensitive little turd. If you don't like the joke, then don't listen to it. And that's another thing. In that article, she says they are exactly that. Jokes. Jokes that offend their PC culture. Look, if a joke is hurting your feelings, then turn the tube off. It's like with Louis C.K. Like he's also back under the spotlight, right? I don't know if you guys might have found or listened to it on YouTube yet, but there's some leaked audio from his set he did where he cracks jokes about the term gender neutral and the Parkland shooting. And I've always said that so when in darkness, we have to find a way to bring light into our lives. For many, and me included, comedy is that. It's a way to bring light into some dark shit. Yes. Can jokes be in poor taste or delivered wrong? Yes. I listened to Louis' set, and honestly, I thought it was really good. I felt like I was listening to something special. Like I could hear him really working those bits out. Like I could see the genius in the jokes and I was listening to him actually work them out. He isn't allowed redemption though. In the eyes of the social justice warriors, right? He was found guilty in their eyes, during the Me Too movement, and they are not okay with him ever returning. So you can be sure that anytime he opens his mouth, even if it's to sneeze, people are going to get offended. Same goes for Kevin Hart. As he fights off the offended culture crew, believe me, he will never be allowed to redeem himself in their eyes. And everything he says will be offensive. We are failing, ladies and gentlemen. We are failing as individuals and as Americans if we are all too afraid to say that small crew that we don't actually give a shit about is gonna, that they're gonna beat us. We're failing if we're gonna let that happen. I'll go ahead and say it. I don't give a shit about what offends you because you don't speak for the whole country. Okay? You don't speak for anybody other than yourself. All right? Welcome to the real world. Right? Welcome to the real world where it isn't all rainbows and butterflies and people shitting Skittles. Okay? If you don't like it, then do as the Amish do. Right? If you don't get the reference, just fucking Google some Amish people and you'll understand why I say it. Ugh, man, fuck. All right, I'm done with this rant for today's podcast. I'll go ahead and close out the show. It's just a kind of quick show. I'll give you a quick story too. So I do have a day job, and in that day job, I have to deal with all sorts of customers on a daily basis. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes not so much. Well, this lady that I'm about to tell you about, she falls on the far right of the spectrum of not so fucking fun. So this older lady walks in and she needs some help and then asks if I could take the time, since, I'm young, to help her understand how to get to the settings on her phone. Like she couldn't, she opened up her phone, couldn't find the fucking settings tab or whatever, the settings app, and I should have fucking known not to help her. Just for fuck's sake. She walks in, she's panting, right? And out of breath. I should have known not to get too close. I grab her phone and she asks if I could move the phone closer to her because she's old and can't see. Valid point. But at this point, I have already smelled her odor and her breath, and it's horrid. Her breath smells like if like if two homeless guys had sex in the rain and passed out until the next morning when the sun dried them off, and then they just sat there and rotted. That's what her breath smelled like. Like two bums fucking in the rain, then drying off the water and bum cum, followed by sitting and rotting. That was in her mouth. So I did what any good, decent person would do. I moved my hand and her phone close to her, and so so that she could see, and she inhaled real deeply and then just exhaled right on my fucking hand. God damn it. Dude, she exhaled on my fucking hand, dude. Oh my god. Who the fuck breathes on another person's hand? I don't get it. I couldn't even say anything. I had to just like fucking wait there, and like after she left, I had to dip my hand in hand sanitizer for like an entire fucking hour. And yes, somehow my hand still had that warm feeling and odor to it. Like it didn't fucking go away, and it just, oh god, man. Like, please, for the love of God, do not breathe on people's hands. That's fucking weird. All right, I don't care. I don't care if you're. I don't care if you're a child. If you're 3 years old. I don't care if you're 90. Don't do it. It's gross. All right? It's fucking nasty. If you're 2 years old, you get a pass. If you're 91, you get a pass. But everyone in between, oh, fucking don't do it. Don't do it. All right, well, that's my story for today. And the lesson to be learned from there, I guess, is don't help old people with shit if their breath, if they're out of breath. All right. Thank you guys. I'll catch you guys on the next episode of Heartspoken. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I kind of had to sit down and do this one very last minute. So hopefully you enjoyed it. And hit me up on any of the Heartspoken social media platforms. All right. Thanks, guys.